Welcome. Here is a rundown of war in Ukraine. Rising costs of war are undermining Putin's geopolitical campaigns. A US-based think tank has warned the rising cost of the war in Ukraine will likely continue to undermine Vladimir Putin's geopolitical campaigns worldwide. The UK's Ministry of Defence previously assessed Russia's defence spending would represent over 30% of its entire 2023 budget. The Russian president recently signed a law allocating over 9 trillion rubles to defense, security and law enforcement for next year's budget, representing about 8% of the country's 2021 gross domestic product. Putin is thus continuing to drain his budget into his war in Ukraine and may need to defund other international or domestic campaigns in the process, the Institute for the Study of War think tank said. It added Russia could deprioritize other combat and soft power engagements in other countries so that it could focus on the war in Ukraine. However, the ISW said Mr. Putin was seemingly still unwilling to sacrifice his geopolitical initiatives in the short term and could face a financial predicament. It pointed out the Russian president had tried to re-establish his country's position in Central Asia by unsuccessfully proposing to create a trilateral union between Russia, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. UK imposes sanctions on high-level figures from Iran and Russia. The British government has targeted Iranian and Russian figures with a fresh set of sanctions. Foreign Secretary James cleverly condemned Russia's use of Iranian drones to carry out strikes on Ukrainian towns and cities and to target energy infrastructure. Tehran supplied the drones to Russia to help plug the gap after Moscow ran low on supplies of its long-range missiles. Iran and Russia's sordid deals threaten global security, Mr. Cleverly said. We are holding their desperate alliance to account. The UK has just sanctioned high-level Russian and Iranian figures in response to the abhorrent strikes against civilian targets. As fierce fighting has been taking place in the region in recent weeks, the exact parts of Donetsk under Russian and Ukrainian control are unclear. And Belarus launches unannounced inspection of troops' combat readiness. Belarus has launched an unannounced inspection of its troops' combat readiness, its defense ministry has said this morning. The activities will be comprehensive in nature. Troops will have to move to the designated areas as soon as possible, carry out their engineering equipment, organize protection and defense, and set up bridge crossings over the rivers Neman and Berezina, the ministry said. It added that military equipment and personnel would be moved and movement along certain public roads would be restricted. As discussed here yesterday, Belarus has repeatedly issued statements that indicated it may be willing to involve its military in the conflict on behalf of allies Russia. However, analysts believe there is very little chance of President Alexander Lukashenko actually ordering such a measure. An assessment by the Institute for the Study of War over the weekend said, the purpose of these efforts is to pin Ukrainian forces at the Belarusian border to prevent them from reinforcing Ukrainian operations elsewhere in the theater.